The wait is finally over. The Master Duel ban list is here after a 2-month wait due to the World Championship Series where Maliss and Ryzeal were the top two decks at 100% usage rate among all the different teams, as we are currently in a 2-deck meta, Maliss and Ryzeal. And we kind of have Gem Knights treading behind it due to a new first turn kill combo. Now, I know Mjolnir is not a new card specifically, nor using it, but within Gem Knight and how prevalent it was in the Duelist Cup, that is new for Gem Knight. And hopefully that would be on the ban list. Now, if it's not on the ban list, what the hell, Konami? And then you're welcome for a small little combo guide if you want to use and abuse Mjolnir in Gem Knights. Now, whatever this ban list is going to be, it's probably going to be disappointing because of this 2-month wait, and also this is amid the lowest player numbers Master Duel has ever seen across the board on all the platforms. We're going to be doing a $1,000 tournament qualifier on this Sunday with the new ban list before it's officially implemented in-game. Are you ready? Well, first off, this is the first time Maliss could actually get hit. Ryzeal still could not get hit by the ban list, because even though it's felt like an eternity that these two decks have been dominating Master Duel, Ryzeal is still in the selection pack shop, and historically, nothing in the selection pack shop will get hit, but you could still hit non-Ryzeal cards like maybe 7 Tachyon would be an idea, and before Maliss was eligible to get hit by the ban list, Gold Sarc would be a good idea to hit Maliss. All right, the anticipation, I'm just gonna do it. Let's go, boom. October 8th is the implementation. Cards to be limited. Let's slowly scroll. Unlimited, that is. Raigeki from 2 to 3. I don't really have much to say about this besides, what? Raigeki was at 2? Well, what the hell? Why was it at 2? Anyway, let's keep on going. Nightmare Throne, all right. This is good. This is a 1-card starter for Yubel, and I think Yubel has fallen off in prevalence due to all of the 1-card starters getting hit, and this being one of the main ones. So will this be enough? Maybe if they have the Phantom Nightmare Fusion, which I believe is currently limited to 1, if they were to maybe semi-limit or unlimit that alongside this change, there would then be a real good chance for Yubel Fiendsmith, that is. All right, what else? Sage, wow, already. This card was just recently, I think it was just 2 ban lists ago, that Sage was limited to 2 alongside Maiden. There's no way they're also going to unlimit the Maiden. So this is a funny thing to be talking about, how we have the top decks like Maliss and Ryzeal, where you have all these other decks that are worse even at full power. So it makes no sense for them to be on the ban list. And it is nice to see that they are unhitting their 1-card starters, because a deck like Maliss and Ryzeal are up to the brim with not only 1-card starters, but their 1-card starters are also extenders and starters in one, that duo benefit, which further makes the deck so freaking broken. This needs to happen. Even Maiden, I'd say. Let's see what happens. All right. Dark Beck. Oh, yeah, there we go. More starters for Yubel getting unhit. Dark Beckoning from 2 to 3. Nightmare Throne. I still think we maybe need the Phantom of Yubel to possibly be semi-limited or unhit. Well, let's keep on going. Opening of the Spirit Guild across the board. I think that's everything that was essentially a 1-card starter in the deck that now they could make plays with. All right, Nightmare Throne, Dark Beckoning, Opening. I think the Dark Beckoning and Opening became a lot more dangerous with the introduction of Fiendsmith. And that's something to definitely be looking out for now that this will be a lot more consistently setting up those plays. Adding 3 good starters to the deck, that's big. All right, I'm going to be trying out Yubel just on this, even if Phantom of Yubel is not unhit, but maybe it is, because there's a big focus on Yubel here. What else we got? Let's keep on going. Purely, delicious memory. I have been playing on Dueling Book with Purely in the Genesis format, and it feels absolutely wild that Purely feels more powerful in Genesis than in Master Duel. I'm playing 3 delicious, 3 of the Sleepy Memory. I'm afraid to check. I think there's a good way to check without spoiling myself. We'll go to the TCG site and then type in Purely. It won't show me the Master Duel changes. Purely. The Sleepy Memory. Oh, wait, that would spoil it. It already is at 3? Wait, did it go unlimited? I guess. What are all the hits? You know what? I just kind of want to look at them from here anyway. Purely is unlimited. Pure Lily is unlimited. My Friend unlimited. Delicious unlimited. Happy unlimited. Memory unlimited. And now Sleepy is unlimited. What the heck? all of them, Delicious went from what to how much? It was from 1 to 3. That is a huge change. This is a big part of starting your combos and also performing one-turn kills. Big one-turn kills. You make the opponent's monster indestructible by battle, and then you attack into it a bunch of times for game. I think Purely's going to be a real contender here. I do like what Konami's doing. Boosting up the older decks, Yubel, Purely, and Blue Eyes. I guess there's nothing else to even unhit with Purely, which is really wild to think of. I am more excited for Purely than Yubel. I'll just say that myself. I got to whip that out. Let's see what else we have. Cards be limited. Ooh, okay. These are pretty good Unlimits. Boosting up older decks. Sure, Raigeki is kind of weird. What else do we have? Raigeki will be a lot better when Yummy comes out, which... Did they just leak that Yummy's coming because Raigeki's unlimited? Probably not. I wouldn't say that is a Yummy leak. I would say the indicator for Yummy coming out would probably be the Herald of Arclight being limited to 1 and or the Obedient School being limited to 1 or banned. Let's see what we got. Maliss, Dormouse, they skipped from 3 to 2, which I think everyone was joking would happen. This was inevitable. We knew that Dormouse was going to one day be limited to 1. It was not if, it was when, but it happening right now is great. It was completely unreasonable to think something like this would be banned. So the next best thing, okay, limited to 1, I'll take it. That's definitely a big win. A massive part of the deck. I mean, do I even need to tell you this? But the Dormouse is one of the most powerful one-card starters in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! It completely circumvents Ash Blossom, which is the #1 most used hand trap alongside Max C. And that's absolutely insane. Everyone's playing 3 Ash and it does nothing to a normal summon Dormouse. And then they get to set up a ton of disruption, draw a ton of cards, and search their deck a bunch of times. But I can't Ash you for some reason. It makes no sense. So very good. Reduce the consistency, reduce the hand trap resilience. Normally, your deck should only have hand trap resilience through extenders. This is just a regular starter, but it is a god-like starter that just inherently completely stops Ash Blossom. Nuts. Now, what could also stop Ash Blossom if they ban Apollo? I would, hey, we could hope for that on this still. Yes, I think Apollo needs to be banned. Let's keep on going. All right, all right. Gold Sarc from 2 to 1. This is inevitable. I said this would happen. Of course it happened. And it also makes me sad on an overall gameplay standpoint for Yu-Gi-Oh! That now every other deck that uses this, as you can see here, I don't feel bad for Tenpai Dragon, but Branded is the 3rd most used deck for Gold Sarc, and then you would have Thunder Dragon afterward. It's not fair for them to get hit because of Maliss. This is a Maliss hit. This is not because of Branded. It's not even because of Tenpai. And I think this is a great reason, a huge example on why Genesis is a really good idea. With Genesis, you could just give Dormouse a lot of points, and then your deck total can only be 100 points, and then you make sure Gold Sarc costs some points, to the point where the Maliss deck can't even use Gold Sarc. It would be even better because this does deserve to be banned, but only for Maliss, but still is deservedly to be played at a much higher usage than 1 in a deck like Branded, and the Genesis point system would perfectly allow that to happen. If you give Gold Sarc even a low point value, like 10 points, and then have Dormouse be like freaking, like 66 points would probably be a good idea, and then maybe put one of the other Maliss cards alongside it, that would completely cut it from the deck. So I'm sorry I'm harping about this too much because I've been thinking a lot about this on how outdated the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list is. They need something like Genesis to just be officially implemented in the game. I'm not even talking adding the Genesis mode. I'll probably make a whole different video about that before I get ranting, so let's move on. Maliss and Underground. This is huge. What the heck? From 3 to 1? You have to understand that Dormouse, while it is a godlike starter, it is just a starter. It's not an extender, which would mean if you start with another card and it gets disrupted, you can't then use Dormouse to further extend. Now, in general, extenders are not good in Yu-Gi-Oh! In the hierarchy of cards, having starters, hand traps, and board breakers usually are better than extenders. And Konami, knowing that, has essentially made cards or built decks to the point where a card like Gold Sarc is not just a starter, it's an extender and a starter in one. And that's how they made extenders absolutely broken, when they could also start your combos. You stop my Dormouse, I follow up a Gold Sarc. You stop my Gold Sarc somehow, let's say you impulse the card to banish, okay, I now follow up with Maliss and Underground. And while they are also following up as an extender, they could even just start your full combo. Absolutely disgustingly broken, 100% deserves to be at 1 for both. And again, Sarc should just be banned from being used in Maliss, but we have the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list where we can't ban this without severely hampering the other decks. And with Sarc being limited to 1 for the other decks, if they enjoy going second and play a card like Triple Tactics Thrust, they can cope with at least adding a Gold Sarc from their deck to their hand, possibly for fake additional copies. All right, ooh, Maliss and Underground, though, this is such a big deal because I got to talk about this more in case there's other hits, but this not only reduces their extender count, but this card being limited to 1 and being tied to Ransom, that would then make Ransom a more viable, I'm not going to say the best, but a more viable card to disrupt, as the deck already is inherently hand trap resilient. As if they're activating Ransom, they're very likely searching for a Maliss and Underground, and if it's activating, there must be a Maliss and Underground in the deck. Now, I know they could search for a Maliss and Mirror, but sometimes searching a Maliss and Mirror would actually make your turn 1 combo weaker, because usually you're going to need the Chessie Cat banished in the deck and then another Maliss card in your hand to banish to draw 2 with the Chessie, and you do need the Mirror to be in the deck in order to perform that play. Thus, this has to be searched for. So if you stop the Ransom with a disruption, that may just end their whole turn if they're even activating it to begin with. Possibly, hopefully. Again, I'm not saying it's the best disruption yet. We got to still look at the other stuff. Cards be forbidden. Ooh, that's it for limited to 1. Ooh, we did. What did we not hit? What was supposed to get hit here? What? Wait, so 7 Tachyon is unhit. They did not do anything with 7 Tachyon. What the heck? I think they really had to do something with that, possibly at least a semi-limit. Wow. I mean, I don't think they could ban anything for Ryzeal. So Ryzeal is unfreaking touched. Not even their non-Ryzeal techs being hit. And what else? Maliss, White Rabbit could have gone to 2 here. And as we're going straight to Forbidden, really? I mean, they do lose. What is this? How many starters did we lose? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starters we lost from the deck. That is quite a lot. So we're going to take a bigger overview on that. Now, there's still Cope that Apollo could get banned. And there's a small Cope that Link Decoder could also get banned. That is a TCG exclusive ban, which would be a good hit to the deck. I don't think that's actually gonna happen though. They also hit Splash Mage in the TCG, which is insane. Again, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Apollo really needs to get hit. Let's see. Forbidden. This means something is getting forbidden. I mean, we wouldn't have this unless something's getting forbidden. Okay, what is this? What is this? What is this? Bagooska? What? The tired tapir Bagooska just got hit here. What the heck? As you can see, Ryzeal is the main user of this. And I was just saying, wait, what could they even hit with Ryzeal? I think Bagooska was most relevant in the mirror match. And of course, even outside the mirror match, it was insanely toxic because of how easily Ryzeal can make the Bagooska indestructible by card effect and untargetable while fully negating all non-links. Absolutely insane. And what does this mean for the future? What are the future decks that are hit by Bagooska ban? Let's see that real quick. Click on TCG. Of course, it's not banned there. And the TCG Ryzeal and Mitsurugi Ryzeal is, of course, using it. Pure Mitsurugi also using it. Lunalight, a future deck, was going to use it. Slight usage within Vanquish Soul, not so much. What about OCG stats? Yeah, I guess Lunalight really lost out on this Bagooska play. And Gem Knights, as we are seeing on Master Duel meta, also being used in that deck. Interesting. Okay, so no Lunalight usage in the future, and even Mitsurugi. Let's keep on looking at some more changes. Hopefully there's more, right? Apollo. You see, we hit Bagooska for Ryzeal, and then we hit Apollo for Maliss, and then it's fair, right? Fair is fair. What? Wait. Okay, there's a line between each. Okay. Whoa. I was like, wait, that's it? Okay, wait. Okay. No! Really? Wait, this is it? This is it? This is it. This is actually hit. Hit it, then what? Oh my Jesus. Okay, I have some analyzation to do. Let's do that. Let's get started. All right, let's look at Maliss, because I think a big question is, what is my prediction? What's going to happen with the game? Are we still in a 2-deck meta? Is Maliss still the best? Is it going to be the second best, third best, top 5? Does it fall off the tier list? Let's get into that. I think, yeah, let's do that quite meticulously. Let's deep dive this, all right? This would probably be worth another video, but we're just going to tack this on because I need to talk about this right now. If we look at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta is what we want to look at. We look at the tier list, the tier 3 events only, or we could look at the last Banlist that happened. Maliss is still a top 4 deck with whatever hits that is in the TCG. And if we were to look at the side deck, it looks like Lancia has completely stopped being used. There is no Lancia. So without Lancia, Maliss is a top 4 deck, but not good enough for people to main deck Lancia. And as you can see here, holy moly, look at this spread. They're almost fully equal. The top 3 decks, Draco Tail, Yummy, and Mitsurugi. I know that Yummy Mitsurugi is also a very good deck that is on here. Let's see, Control F, Yummy, there we go. Mitsurugi, Yummy down here. So that does kind of add to it up there, which I guess you would then say subsequently, Yummy and Mitsurugi overall as engines are a little bit better than Draco Tail, but I still like it being separated. I think that is best. Where is Ryzeal even? Ryzeal, Mitsurugi down here. Yeah, they got a lot of hits. Now, let's look at the OCG, and then we're going to look at what the hits mean that Maliss is a top 4 deck, or I guess to stay in order, let's look at that. So for Maliss to be a top 4 deck still, what I would like to look at, there is this magic number with math. And in Yu-Gi-Oh!, if you're playing a 40-card deck, if you have 12 one-card starters, that is the magic number before you start hitting diminishing returns, where you could instead be playing other non-engine cards like hand traps and good techs. And this deck, part of its core combo, draws 4 cards. So it definitely does benefit with the more non-techs you play. You don't want your entire deck to just be starters. It would definitely be a lot worse. Now, with that said, what are the 1-card starters? Backup is a 1.5 card starter. It will work alongside any other card that could be normal summon, like a Fool Loss. So we'll count this. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because there's a 1, 8, 9, 10, 10. They have 10, essentially 10 1 to 1.5 card starters in the deck. And they did lose Splash Mage, which is being accounted for on the tier list that I just showed you. They also lost Apollo, and they lost Link Decoder. So you're telling me with no Splash Mage, no Link Decoder, no Apollo, and 10 starters, and of course the absence of Lancia, we're still looking at a top 4 freaking deck here? That is wild. That is scary. What does one of these decks look like? This was top 16 of a recent YCS that just happened. And yeah, okay, still a very good deck, but not good enough for people to be lancing you. So that's great for them over there. Is that going to be the case for Master Duel? I got to count our starters to really evaluate that. And now for OCG, it's a top 2. That's the last week. We do last month. Last month, it's a top 3. So it's like top 2, top 3. Very good deck still. But what are the hits? Now, they just got a recent ban list. I think, actually, the recent ban list did not touch Maliss at all. So this is a really good indicator of how good the deck is. And in fact, the decks above it are just going to go down in power because they did get hit. So if we look at Maliss in the OCG, they do not have Apollo. And how many 1-card stars they have? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, because the terraforming. So they have the perfect amount of starters, 12, and it is a top 3 deck. Now, what's the usage of Lancia over in the OCG land? In the side deck here, it's still used at about 29%. That is a good chunk of players to expect Artifact Lancia. I mean, if a deck itself was at 29% usage, you would expect it all over the event, right? So that is definitely high enough, and it's still a great deck nonetheless. You know, very consistent, sure. And they did lose the power level of Apollo. Now in Master Duel, we still have Link Decoder, we still have Apollo, we still have Splash Mage, but we reduced the best starter and extenders in 1, the Gold Sarc to 1 and the Maliss Field Spell to 1. Let's count that up. What do we end up with? Dormouse 2, 1, White Rabbit, so that's 4, 5, 5, 5. Where are the other cards here? 5, 6. Am I not counting this right? Where are we? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, okay, the backups are down here. 9. So that is a little bit under the magic number of 12. But I think that the deck will still be good at 9. Let me, what's going to happen with this? And they also lost the quality of consistency. And so overall, the deck is less consistent, which is great news. Now, the deck being at 9 quality essential 1-card starters, even with the backup Ignister being at 1.5 of a starter, that kind of puts it in line with Blue Eyes White Dragon. Blue Eyes had 9 quality 1-card starters. The Sage at 3, the Maiden at 3, the Wishes at 3. Now, they do have Primite, which I don't consider as 1-card starters because they don't fully segue into the Blue Eyes part of your deck. They are just a separate engine of the deck, which of course is still very good. But again, this is very closely aligned in terms of consistency with what we see with Blue Eyes. The core engine, the core cards that get to your main part of the deck being at a total of just 9. Now, the Maiden did not get unhit though. So they're actually at 8 quality 1-card starters now. They do have some cards to help circumvent that. And that's possibly what we're going to have to do here. My prediction on how the deck's going to be played now, the replacements, I think Chessie Cat's going to be maxed out. And I don't think March Hare is going to be at 54%. I think it's going to be closer to 100% played at 3. So March Hare across the board, everyone's going to play at 3. Chessie is going to be played at 3. And what I don't see high enough here are the Bystials. I think the Bystials are going to go up in usage. These are very good extenders, but also with Chessie, if we boost up Chessie to 3, it is a combo. It's a 2-card combo with Chessie, where you normal summon Chessie. If Chessie has nothing to banish from the hand, but you have a Bystial, you have full combo. That is crazy. Link off, link decoder, banish, summon the Magnum Hut. You go full wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Which, you know, again, that's a big reason why. It's essentially doing the same thing as the March Hares. So you'd have 5 cards, which could turn the Chessie Cat into a 2-card combo, which I would say the deck definitely needs. In addition to, of course, Chessie being able to combo with the other cards that are Malice. Now, there's a chance that I don't think Allure would be played at 3, but maybe at 1. So I definitely see the 2 Bystials going up, 3 Chessie, 3 March Hare, and maybe 1 Allure of Darkness across the board. Now I'm going to get to the point of also Lancia. Now, let me see real quick. We had the DC Duel Cup top 100 decks here. Let's see the highest rated Malice player. Rank 2, rank 4 here. He is actually already on 3 Allure, but no Bystials. Very interesting. So while I think Allure at 3 will definitely be viable, I'm not so sure that it's going to be the most prevalent way to play. I think that 1 Allure and 2 Bystials is better than 3 Allure. Straight up, I'm just saying that. And wow, what's really interesting about this deck is he's only playing 2 Field Spell and 2 White Rabbit. What are his 1-card starters here? 3 Dormouse, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. He's got exactly 12. So what did I just say? The freaking magic number, 12 starters being the magic number before you hit diminishing returns. And the highest ranked Mouse player choosing to, he's got to be a mathematician, right? There ain't no way he's choosing to willingly drop the Maliss and Underground, which is weak against Raziel, and White Rabbit, which, you know, is one of the weaker 1-card starters, but still dropping down to 12 to ensure that he can max out the Lancia, max out the Allure Darkness. Now, speaking of Lancia, let's look at the top decks page real quick. We click on tournaments, we click on the Duelist Top Cup 10. Malice the most dominant, but is this the whole story? If we highlight this, we could see that we could type in Lancia, up arrow, or star. So Lancia, star 3. 100% of the other decks in the top 10 that are not Malice are playing 3 Lancia. Because I believe currently Malice is tier 0. What, DK, on the tier list, you're saying your tier list is wrong? No, I said the tier list is correct. but Maliss is tier 0. How could I be correct and wrong at the same time? Maliss is tier 0 if Lancia doesn't exist. Now, of course, it exists. And with the existence of Lancia, despite Maliss becoming more resilient to Lancia, but overall becoming a much better deck, still forced everyone to play Lancia, even though it became less effective. But due to the immense dominance of this deck, people had no other choice. They had to still main deck freaking 3 Lancia to even stand a chance, which still, even with 3 Lancia, Maliss is the sole best deck ahead of the others, with people main decking a card that literally says, skip your freaking turn. If I use it in the draw phase, of course, if they don't open up into the Ignister engine, which again, the deck became more resilient towards. Now, talking about hand trap resilience, not only did Maliss, and I'm going to get to the point where I believe Maliss will be on the tier list after this and the usage of Lancia, the deck became a lot less, should I say a lot? It became less hand trap resilient. We lost 1 starter extender, 2 starter extender, 3 starter extenders. So that's 4 total starter extenders. And we dropped our best starter down to 1 that I already talked about earlier, completely plays around Ash Blossom. And if we're going to be less often opening up the Dormouse, the way that we are still able to play around an Ash Blossom without Dormouse was through the usage of Gold Sarc and Underground. So across the board, Sarc, Underground, and Dormouse accomplished the goal of helping to play around Ash Blossom. Now, of course, we have Chessie Cat and a March Hare, or Chessie and a Bystial. You could still play around Ash quite effectively, but this definitely makes Ash Blossom a lot better. As we see on the popularity here, it is the most used disruptive hand trap, most used disruptive card. Maxi is not inherently a form of disruption, and it is just, again, ridiculous that the most used disruption does nothing against Maliss in most cases. Now, with the Underground being to 1 and the deck being less resilient against Ash, I think that Ransom has become a lot more viable, even even more so because of the Apollo. You pretty much now have to Ash the red Ransom, and there is a chance that they're going to just make an Apollo then pass. Now, it's still pretty good. They'll probably have a bunch of other non-engine to help out with their Apollo, but there's a very real chance of one of the biggest problems with this deck is how long it takes to perform their turn 1. And your chances to now drop their turn 1 from being 10 to 15 minutes down to 2 minutes by consistently using your Ash against the Ransom, because they're going to be much less likely chain link blocking with the link decoder because they're not going to have the ideal 1-card Dormouse play. Now, there's still going to be many instances where they still do that. And while Ransom is not the best use of Ash, it still is the best use of Ash. I know that does not make sense, but you have to understand that even if it's better to use your Ash on the White Binder coming back and drawing 1, or the Maliss and Mirror banishing for the deck than searching your deck, you can't even Ash them if there's going to be an Apollo USA on the field. So your only real opportunity to Ash this deck, which has become a lot more consistent to do and much more likely to stop their turn, because instead of 5 additional cards to follow up after the Ransom gets Ashed, if they were to not open up a Dormouse or a combo to chain link block it, they're now going to only have 2 cards. And if they're activating it, that may already inherently mean they only have 1 Maliss and Underground that's still in the deck, or it could be searching for the Maliss and Mirror. But again, I think I said this earlier, sometimes if you search for your Maliss and Mirror, your turn 1 combo actually becomes weaker. You may not be able to trigger your Chessie and draw 2. You may not even get Chessie out on the field. You may be forced to banish from the deck a White Rabbit, because generally the Maliss and Mirror is going to get a Chessie on the field and a White Rabbit in the hand to banish the draw 2 and give you access to the White Rabbit. That Mirror does a lot just from that. But now if they start off with Splash Mage, which they may be more likely doing if they're not opening up the ideal Dormouse, you don't have to Ash the Ransom then. So I don't want you to think, oh, I have to Ash this. If there's no Splash Mage and they are going to very likely have a 4th body on the field, I should say a 2nd body alongside the Link 3, so it's essentially 4 links, 4 bodies in a way to make the Apollo USA, then you do have to Ash this. But if they use Splash Mage, I'd hold the Ash. And then I would Ash the Maliss and Mirror. And then if you don't do that, or they don't play into the Maliss and Mirror, you could then Ash the Binder, trying to come back when it banishes itself, when it gets banished by a trap that is, and tries to come back and draw 1. So overall, what I'm saying is Ash stocks against this deck have definitely become better. Because I know a lot of you feel like this deck is completely unstoppable. It's useless to hand trap them. But I assure you that Ash just became a lot better It's still not ideal, of course, but it is a lot better. It's a much better chance. Now, with me saying the deck is tier 0 without Lancia, but the best deck but within tier 1 with Lancia, what is going to happen with these new changes? So the power ceiling of the deck is still there. It's still intact. The only thing, and we needed that power ceiling hit through Apollo, straight up. I don't know what else I could freaking say. This had to get hit. Apollo not just increases the power, it also duos up. It doubles up his hand trap resilience, which is freaking ridiculous against the most prevalently used hand trap. I don't know how many times I could iterate that. It's just so annoying that they did not hit this. I don't understand, Konami. What is going on? It's already hit in the TCG and OCG, so we know it's likely coming. Why not now? Now is the time. Okay, I think I know why they didn't do it. They were afraid of Maliss players rage quitting Master Duel because they see that their Maliss, Underground, and Sarc got hit, and then they're not going to be thinking that, oh, what the heck, Ryzeal didn't get hit. This is unfair, not fully understanding that Ryzeal is a newer deck than Maliss. So again, I keep on saying this. I'm going to extend the Copium of Apollo. Once they hit Ryzeal on the next ban list, they could safely hit Apollo to mitigate the amount of raging from Maliss players on this inevitable hit. It's going to get hit. You're the one coping if you think otherwise. So with the hand trap resilience going down, with the consistency going down, the power ceiling is still fully intact. Where does this stand on the tier list? Ooh, I think Maliss is still the best deck. Hold on, chill before you close the video. But if people actually, okay, you know what? Let me change my mind. I think Maliss is equal to Ryzeal, or slightly better, actually. It's tough. I think Ryzeal's definitely more consistent now, more hand trap resilient, but the power of Maliss is higher. So, you know, that has to kind of equalize. And I think because of that, Maliss is slightly better than Ryzeal, but with the inclusion of some people still playing Lancia, Lancia is definitely going to be dropping because of this, but it's no longer a tier 0 deck without the inclusion of Lancia. I think Lancia being used even a little bit is going to drop Maliss a little bit lower than Ryzeal. So it's very close to Ryzeal, where it's a little bit better without Lancia, a little bit worse with Lancia. So I guess what I said earlier, that would subsequently make it quite equal to Ryzeal, right? Does that make sense? Now, in actuality, I think at least early on, probably my prediction in the next 2 weeks, Ryzeal is going to be higher than Maliss. Maliss will be dropping. It will still be tier 1, definitely. I'm sorry if you are thinking otherwise with this. It's way too freaking good still. But I think after that, after the 2 weeks where the tier list settles with Ryzeal being a little bit higher than Maliss, I think then they're just going to be maybe going back and forth, where there maybe even go like a Reddit post going, oh my God, look, Maliss overtook Ryzeal again on tier 1. What the heck's going on? And I told you the ban list did nothing. People just don't know what they're doing. No, it's going to be because of Lancia usage and really no other reason. And maybe even hesitancy to play Maliss thinking that the hits are harder than it is. So that would then mean that person would be right, because this is definitely not enough for Maliss to be dropping. We need in the future, and also, by the way, also Gem Knights. If we look at the Gem Knights real quick, being kind of a third deck, if we see, click on Gem, look at that. Top 10 global, Mjolnir. 2 of them played Mjolnir, and the second one was not on Mjolnir. So 2 out of the 3 in the top 10, which would then mean only 1 Gem Knight made top 10 without Mjolnir. And Mjolnir is a freaking cheesy first turn kill floodgate that is absolutely broken. I do recommend you watching my video on how to use it properly with Engraver or Brilliant Fusion. It is disgusting. And I think shame on Konami, because I think this is inevitably going to get hit. It's been used from other decks like Memento, but with Gem Knight, especially the usage within the Duelist Cup, this is not okay, not cool. And I've been reading a lot of comments in this video, and people are thinking, they're saying along the lines that I say would make sense, is that this is the reason why people don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think that's true. Super consistent, turn off your next turn from being able to special summon. Again, pretty much a first turn kill. Come on, Konami, why do we got to do this? Oh, but Ryzeal and Maliss are so good. So having something so toxically broken that it skips your turn, that's now okay. We're going to balance the game through breaking the game. And yes, I do think that this is a step towards just further breaking the freaking game. Now, I would like to hope that I'm wrong, that Maliss and Ryzeal are going to be still a 2-deck top meta where nothing else is going to be good enough besides cheesing people with Gem Knights, which also has a pretty good turn too, even when they're playing Fiendsmith and the first turn kill nonsense. But I don't, you know, my quick evaluation is Maliss will probably jump to around like, Ryzeal will probably go to like 25 power. Maliss will be around 25 power. It'll pretty much be the same because equally together, they're at about 50 power level here, which is about 50% representation of tournament topping decks. And it's still going to pretty much be the same thing. It's just, I guess now you can maybe take Lancia out of your deck. That's some good news, right? And if you could take Lancia out of your deck as it's not going to be as necessary, then I do hope to see a lot more decks at least at tier 3. I do think that will be a nice bump if we could at least take Lancia out. But we do need some brave soldiers out there to still play Lancia. We got to keep Maliss in check a little bit. And, you know, Lancia is not going to be doing anything against Ryzeal. So that's going to be a big reason why Lancia, of course, will be further dropping, as it's no longer tier 0 status without Lancia. And so what is the future? I hope we're going to have a tournament on this Sunday, $1,000 tournament qualifier. Hopefully it's not going to be all doom and gloom. Hopefully it's going to be fun still. Hopefully there's going to be a lot more viable decks at tier 3 status. Even though I believe we're still going to be in a 2-deck meta, we should still have other decks be a bit more viable. So you know what, maybe, even though I'm predicting they would be 25-25, almost best case scenario would be both of them being around 20. That would only be 40% of the meta instead of about 50. And it was about 60% of the meta, but Gem Knights came in with their cheesy first turn kill. So it's like, oh, wow, I'm not playing against Maliss. Wait, is that Gem Knights? Oh, I'm getting first turn killed. I can't special summon next turn. Wow, at least I'm not playing Maliss. So that didn't really help out with the deck diversity that I wanted here. But again, best case scenario, 40% of the meta instead of 50 to 60%. And I think that would still equate to the tournaments being a lot more enjoyable to play in. Of course, the ranked ladder being more enjoyable to play, and also more enjoyable to even watch the tournaments, which, you know, obviously is very important for me, as my business is closely correlated with the health of the game, and the health of the game right now is not good. But what I could say from this ban list is things are probably still not good. It's just going to be a little bit better. Yeah. And so again, for the future, Maliss is only going to, of course, needs more hits and is only going to get hit more. That's the future of Maliss. It's inevitable. It's not done getting hit. Ryzeal is going to be getting some hits on the next ban list, I think, with Maliss and very likely with Apollo. So what I think Konami did a good job of equalizing the power of both Maliss and Ryzeal, but now they need to further lower their power, but do it together. Lower Maliss alongside Ryzeal. If Ryzeal gets hit and Maliss is untouched in the next ban list, then we're going to, again, have Maliss be the sole best deck, which is not going to be good. So lower both of them, but there's something looming in the future. Maliss doesn't really have a good future besides more hits, but Ryzeal has a future. Their future is the Mitsurugi. The Mitsurugi, Mits, let's type in not released. I could just show it on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, that is. Mitsurugi is soon. I predicted it potentially could be by December, but honestly, it could come out at any time. It could literally even be announced by the very next pack. And then if it were to be announced in the next pack, then take back what I said about Maliss and Ryzeal being equal decks. Now, pure Ryzeal will still be equal to Maliss, but I think Mitsurugi Ryzeal would then be the sole best deck. And to just simplify this as much as possible, it's because of this card. The ability to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, being able to very consistently trigger this effect on your opponent's turn or on your turn when you're going second, and making it nearly unstoppable. What does that mean? It consistently gets chain link blocks so you can't negate it. It consistently could jump off the field through other cards that you're playing, so it can't get imperm or veilered in many cases. So you have a super consistent, non-negatable, non-veilerable, non-impermeable, in many cases, destroy all monsters your opponent controls on either turn, And that is why this is very freaking good. You know, obviously there's other things too, but that's the main reason why. And that's what you have looking forward to the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I do think, well, you may be thinking, well, DK, what about the other decks though? I think Mitsurugi is coming out before them. Before Yummy, before Draco Tail, before the new Vanquish Soul, before K9. Mitsurugi has to be the number one best thing that's coming the soonest. If I were to put all my predictions on that, that is the case. So there you go. Yeah, super board wipe on either turn, and it being super consistent and being played with Raziel will be the way. Even though you see pure Mitsurugi here, that's because Raziel has been heavily hit in TCG to the point where it's not even really that viable. What was really interesting on this guess is something like Mimigol. Mimigol came out in the TCG as an exclusive. If you didn't know that, this is a TCG exclusive, Mitsurugi. It came out in July 2024, and then it came out in Master Duel before the OCG. Now, Mitsurugi just came out in the OCG. So we have this scenario where another deck type, we received it before the OCG and Master Duel, but now OCG received it before Master Duel, again, both being TCG exclusives, and they just got it. So that tells me that, why not? This could just be the next pack. And there's a thing, they say, be careful what you wish for. And I don't know, I look forward to chaos. I almost wish for it, but then I regret it always. I was really looking forward to Raziel and Maliss, and I don't know what I was thinking. I guess it was fun for like the first week even, maybe, and then it was all downhill from there. And I don't really, I could further evaluate in another video once this is actually announced what will happen to Master Duel. I got a really deep dive, think about that. And there you go. So that's going to be the future of Master Duel. This was a lot of rambling, a lot of things on my mind here, especially after Konami has recently announced Genesis and myself playing in it and also casting a tournament. What are you all saying though? No Apollo ban is disappointing as heck. I agree. We're so back to Fortnite it is. Now remember, my prediction is Maliss and Raziel is going to be 50% of the meta still. But yeah, and ideally 40%, ideally, but probably less likely. Bagoo did nothing wrong. Are you losing your mind? And yeah, I was talking about how it becomes untargetable in Raziel. Holy blank, dude. They can hit a blank banlist even, blank, blank, blank. What the blank? All he did was make room for more cyber shenanigans and hand traps, to be honest. Yeah, as I said, I think you have to play the 2 Bystials, max out the chassis, and maybe put in 1 Allure, and that would be enough to account for your, 5 cards you're now missing? That is 2 Bystial, not counting my fingers, you can't see it. 2 Bystial, 1 Allure, and 2 chassis. That's perfectly 5 cards to replace your 5 cards, actually, as you're probably already playing 3 March Hare. Yeah, so if you have Maliss right now, that is what I would suggest for you to do. And all right, I should just end this video. And I'll be looking forward to all of you watching me on twitch.tv/DK this Sunday with the new Banlist tournament, where hopefully it's going to be good. We're going to try to stay positive and just cast things as they are and as they come to us. All right. Thank you very much. We are out.